All right. We're going to begin the Perry Township Zoning Commission for February 16th. We do not have any minutes from the last one to approve, correct, Beth?
Correct.
Okay. Our new business, because we have no old business as of right now, is to nominate a zoning commission chairperson. And
I move to nominate Gary Collins.
I second.
all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, thank you. I continue on as chairperson.
Lucky.
I nominate Lucy to be the vice chair again.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Great.
All right. Now we're moving on to, we're doing a text amendment hearing for zoning amendment 156 RZ 22. Beth, do you want to go ahead and explain that to everyone that's
Absolutely. Sure. So for your consideration, I am submitting proposed text amendments to the Perry Township zoning resolution. This was initiated by the Perry Township Board of Trustees on January 19th, 2022. The proposed text amendment is designated as case number 156-RZ-2022. Actually, Luke, I believe that's just 22 in our new zoning program. If adopted, pursuant to revised code section 519.12 would revise section 308, the R4 suburban residential district regulations by deleting certain conditional uses and modifying required development standards. It would add section 593, traffic impact study, allowing for the zoning inspector to require a traffic impact study containing certain elements for developments or redevelopments involving more than 30 lots. You should all have in front of you a red line version of those changes. Development Director Joe Smiley is online. Joe, did you have anything to add, or are you just prepared to take any questions the board may have?
No, I think Beth, you did a great job. Thank you. And I think the idea here is that our code is extremely old. It was developed from the Franklin County Code many, many, many years ago, and does not afford us the protections we feel necessary to ensure that going forward, new development and redevelopment will fit within our guidelines and what we desire within the township. And therefore, if you'll recall, you did change the zoning on the two country clubs, which was in the same situation. So this is a process that we're going through. This is the next step, and there'll be many more steps to follow. So I'm here to answer any questions if anybody's got any. I think the text speaks for itself of what we're trying to do, and that is to control and make sure that we've got good growth. And we've supplied other avenues for people for development going forward. If they've got multiple acres, et cetera, and they want to do something, our idea is that we want to try to force people to go through the plan development process. So that's all I've got. I'm here to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
So,
Jerome, I think Jerome has some questions.
yeah, Joe, you know, I'm new to this, so I'm just probably got a couple questions. And I was looking through the current zoning code, and some of these changes look to me like they're making the R4 very similar to the R1 use. Am I understanding that when I was looking at like the lot coverage and lot width, and some of these changes seem to be very similar to the R1 zoning?
That is correct. Yep, you've got it. Yep.
So in that case, then, what the only area that I think I know of, and you guys probably know better than, is the Worthington Hills is R4. Is there any other areas in Perry Township that are R4 that this would affect?
Yes, there's a couple other small ones, and et cetera. So within the township, there's a couple other small areas that are R4, if I recall correctly. But again, the differential here is that let's take a home in Worthington Hills. And we've got lots varying from probably 0.15 acre to call it 0.45 of an acre. The current code prior to this amendment allows for a home to be built on 8,500 square feet of property. As you know from Worthington Hills, that is substantially smaller than just about any lot out there. And therefore, anybody redeveloping within Worthington Hills, et cetera, would be able to take their lot, divide it into potentially 2 or 3 lots, tear down their home and build 2 or 3 lots. So that's one of the avenues that we wanted to close the gap on here, because when this was developed, it was many, many, many years ago. We did not have the density that we've got, doesn't have the traffic that we've got, et cetera. So this is to protect our flank.
So that would be,
That's the 40,000.
yeah, that's the 40,000. That's the 3.308.04.
041.
So previous, it was 10,000 square feet unless we did the 85, unless they were connected. So previously they were allowed 10,000 unless they were connected to the sewer system, in which case they could go to 8,500 square feet a lot. And all the homes in Worthington Hills are connected on city sewer then, correct, Joe?
That's correct. As far as I know, I think everyone is on public sewer and water.
So I just want to add, I'm looking at our zoning map right now. There's certain homes on Snowfer Road that are under R4. There's 3 parcels towards just before McVeigh that is under R4. One of those parcels is a cell tower usage. And then I believe the only other R4 is the church that is on Smoky Row. And then actually, I'm scrolling down a little bit. We have a handful on West Case. So, but the majority of that R4 is in Worthington Hills.
And I'm trying to do the quick math on converting acres to square feet. So a 0.45 acre lot is how many square feet? Anybody?
Divide it by 43085, I believe.
Come on, somebody can do this faster than me.
40,000 is about a half acre. Am I right, Joe?
It's
Joe, you're muted.
I'm sorry, it's 560 square feet per acre. Divide that by 8,500 with sewer and water. They're permitted to put 5.1247 lots on that acre.
So in the average lot size in Worthington Hills is somewhere between a half an acre and 1.5 acres.
I think that's too large, Jerome. I think that the average lot is probably between, I'm guessing between 0.2 and 0.35 of an acre.
So our coverage then, Joe, is Worthington Hills is about 4 houses. Each lot's a quarter acre then?
I'd say that on average, probably, yes.
Yeah. So if the goal then, these questions, if the goal is to keep it similar to what I know and experience, which is, Worthington Hills, is 40,000 square feet actually a quarter of an acre? Or is that larger? That's almost an acre.
That's almost an acre. What we're trying to do is that many, many things have changed in the last 30 years. So what we want to do is try to push people. If you'll recall, you approved a new zoning text probably 2 years ago called Plan Development. And what we want to do is pull everybody that wants to do anything going forward into that PD text, which allows us a lot more control over future development, being architectural, et cetera, lot coverage, et cetera. So good plan development, we want to promote. And that's the reason we got the PD put in place. And that's the avenue we want them to take. So we want to deter from the current straight zoning, as they call it, and push them towards the PD.
Okay,
Because this would put it to housing at close to 1 house per acre if they were to do something.
That's correct.
So that way it reduces, you know, the way we currently have it, somebody could have 10 acres and want to put in 40 homes. Based on
Yeah,
the current.
based on the number we've got, if they had 10 acres, they could probably put in 51 homes, and we really have no say in the matter whatsoever. And so what we want to do is push towards the PD. The PD is to promote growth. We want good growth. We want it organized. We want it planned out. We want to make sure all the bases, we want architectural compatibility, materials, everything else. And that's what the PD allows us to do. So the design here is to push people towards the PD.
so where is the PD referenced in here, Joe?
I believe it's section 414. I'm not positive. I don't have it in front of me. We approved it, you all approved,
Yeah.
Trustees approved it
It's not in with our
approximately
packet.
2 years
It's not
ago.
in with this.
No.
It's not in here. It's in our zoning code.
So kind of, I understand where we're trying to get, Joe, which makes sense to me. Because I don't want the density of the 8,500 square feet at all. But is making each dwelling unit no less than an acre? That seems to be out of character with the current neighborhood.
Again, the idea here is from a good planning perspective, we want to push people towards the planned development, which allows us the opportunity to look at what they're developing, the setbacks, the materials, the design, et cetera, very similar to the Brookside development that's going on right now. And it gives you all and us and the trustees the opportunity to look at and approve good growth. Straight zoning is not really appropriate anymore because of all the different avenues that go into it and what's going on.
I mean, this doesn't really, for what currently is in Worthington Hills, it really doesn't change much, correct? Because, I mean, nobody's tearing down houses and building.
Not yet. With the price of properties, et cetera, that's going on. What we have is a situation where you could get somebody gets together and says, look, we're going to buy 3 or 4 homes. That's going to give us an acre. That's going to give us 2 acres, 3 acres. We can turn around and build 5, 10, 15 units. They can come in here with townhomes, et cetera, or 0 lot line. And at that point, what we want is them to come through the PD process so that we can approve, make sure that the neighbors are protected, everyone's protected, et cetera, moving forward. This is to make sure that we maintain the desirable neighborhoods that we currently have without anybody exploiting that. I can't sit here and say today that there's not somebody in the wood in Worthington Hills that doesn't have a half acre or 3/4 of an acre, et cetera. And as Beth pointed out, there's several lots throughout that probably have larger than what the hills have.
Because then if they wanted a variance, then anything under 40,000 would require a variance.
Or yes, they could variance it, or what we want them to do is come through the PD process so we can look at the entire development and make sure that it's meeting all of the requirements that we think are appropriate for future growth.
Can you, and just for the people who may look at this or watch this later through our thing, explain what PD is real quick.
Yeah, it's planned development, meaning that we have an avenue now in our zoning code that allows you to come in and take a piece of property or several pieces of property, pull them together, come together with a planned development that has got, let's take Brookside, for instance. It's not a huge development, but they're planning 21 family homes on there. They're going to condominiumize them. But with that process, instead of going through each individual variance, they can come in and create their own zoning code and say, we think this is a really nice project. This allows you all, the planning commission and the trustees, to look at it and go, you know what, this is a good, well planned out development, good materials, everything else works for us. Traffic's right, everything else is right, and we're ready to move forward. So all of their variances are granted in one spot with the PD. It really is a rezone of the property, but we've made it part of our code, so it's very simple.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Joe, I'm just struggling with the going to the 40,000 square feet, because I feel like it ought to be, more compatible with what we're seeing in Worthington Hills, because I think that's a great development. So the 1 acre lot seems extreme to me. I love getting rid of the 8,500 square feet per dwelling unit, because nobody wants that, and maybe the 10,000 is a little too light also on that, but nobody up in that I know of, has an acre up in Worthington Hills. So I feel like that seems a bit on the extreme end, and then maybe it's some kind of language that says, okay, if you're developing more than 1 acre or 40,000 square feet, or pick what you want, then you have to follow the planned development criteria. I mean, I think that's what we're trying to get to, right?
Well, again, anybody that's got an existing home, et cetera, will not be impacted whatsoever by this zoning change, period. They are simply, this is to protect our flank and make sure that going forward, if somebody comes in here and decides they want to, buy 2 or 3 parcels, 4 parcels, 5 parcels, et cetera, or if somebody that owns a large parcel decides they want to split it, again, we're not saying no to them. We're saying go through the PD process. And the PD process is very effective, and it protects all of the neighbors and all the members of the township. This is the way, my recommendation as development director is, this is the way it should be done. We want to push people to the PD for that purpose.
So in this scenario, then, Joe, there's only a couple lots that I know of that are still vacant in Worthington Hills, like 1 or 2 on the hill coming up, and that's probably about it. Those individuals would not be affected by this, because those lots probably are not 40,000 square feet.
They have an individual lot and they're entitled to build their property. That's correct.
Okay, so then what's the difference? The difference is, what if this was R1 and it had the same capabilities, right? So if I wanted to develop under R1, would I have to go through the plan development also? Is the plan development only applied to the R4?
No, plan development is a tool that's open to anybody in the township for residential development.
Regardless of whether it's R1, R2, or?
Yeah, it doesn't matter which.
That's correct.
So currently, if I'm own a large piece of property in Perry Township, right now, under R4, I could go as tight as 8,500, right? That's what we're saying.
Correct.
But if we didn't want that, why couldn't we just rezone that property R1, which would take them to the 40,000 square feet, and they would still have the planned urban development opportunity for them?
Because we don't have the opportunity. We're dealing right now with the R4 moving forward and taking it to the regulations of the R1. So I'm not sure I understand your question, Jerome.
I guess I'm trying to understand if there's no difference between what we're changing the R4 to, there's no difference between R4, the proposed changes to R4 and R1. Why don't we just rezone the area R1? Because they would still have the planned urban development available to them, correct? They wanted to do
Yes,
something different.
This is the avenue we chose to take to correct and fix the zoning code as we saw fit.
Okay. So in the old scenario now, Joe, just help me understand. I have R1, which is 1 house per acre, round numbers, and I want to do something more than that. I would have to go to the plan development, right? Or I would have to get a petition for a zoning change to go to R4 if I just wanted to do 1 per quarter. Trying to understand how this all works now.
If you're currently under R1, you have the opportunity to either apply for R2, okay? Or you can come in under the PD. And you're right, the requirements under R1 and R4 with this change will be the same. Again, the idea here is to protect the neighborhood, protect the township as growth continues and we become more dense, et cetera. So this is a process that we're going through. And the idea is to push towards the PD, very similar to what Brookside did.
Mhm. So is another avenue, then could we rezone Worthington Hills to R1? And then we'd be in the, you know, we wouldn't be changing any text. Can that be done, or is that not allowed?
That's a much more complicated process because you're changing all R4 to R1.
And how would that process go? Would that just be an amendment, or how does this help? I'm just walking through that now. How does that work? If that was the game plan.
Same process. It'd be notification to every owner up there, et cetera, of what's going on. What we're doing is not affecting any of the owners up there with their properties currently as they're designed or they're subdivided. They have all the rights, everything else that they currently have. If you go to change it to an R1, then you're going to notify them all, et cetera. So there's different paths to do this. This is the path that we chose to take, and this is our recommendation on the change to the zoning code.
Okay. So, okay, so in this scenario, we're not, everyone in R4, did we notify them of this, or, I mean, how does that work? We do a public announcement? And if we were changing the zoning, do we have to send out letters?
We did the public notice. Beth did the public notice, and it's out there. Correct, Beth?
Correct. The public notice went into the dispatch, and Jerome, under the law, we're not required to actually notify individual resident owners or parcel owners. But it was posted in the dispatch.
Okay, so if we did the other route, we'd follow the same process. If we were gonna say, hey, we're gonna rezone all of Worthington Hills to R1, we would do an advertisement, Beth, and then that would be it, or?
No, there's going through that process. My right, Joe, is we'd have to notify each and every single individual who lives in the hills And then the R1 document, the change, it's not, it's a little more complicated than what we're doing here. That's the reason.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily get into that. We are moving forward on this, and that's what before you tonight, based on conversations with our council, et cetera. This is the path that we feel is best for the township moving forward.
okay.
Okay.
So the lot coverage will be the same as R1, right? The lot width is now going to be the same as R1. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. The side yard setback is going to be the same as R1. Is the conditional use side yard setback also the same as R1?
I don't have the answer for that, Jerome.
Rear yard is the same as R1, I think. The transportation study, that's, I think, appropriate and is not part of the R1, if I remember correctly.
It's not anywhere in the code. This is an addition to, again, protect ourselves moving
I
forward
get it.
for good development.
So what leeway do we have on the lot area and coverage? Because that's a heartburn for me. I feel like we're just changing R4 to R1.
What you have before you is what's before the planning commission tonight to vote on up or down.
Change it
Oh,
because it's recommended through the trustees sent it to us.
I see.
Jerome, I just want to clarify that the Board of Trustees initiated this process. The responsibility of the zoning commission is to make their recommendations one way or the other. The board on the 23rd of this month will consider those recommendations and make the final decision.
So we're offering comments to this then tonight for the Board of Trustees.
I believe what you're doing is you're voting on agreeing with it or disagreeing with it, up or down.
That's it.
I guess I would add that that is the goal, is for the zoning commission to make their recommendation as a board. I would think I'm safe in saying that the Board of Trustees would welcome any comments you may have as part of their deliberations on this.
So,
Which could be part of the minutes, Jerome. It can be incorporated in minutes and your recommendation. They can, what you're gonna need to do is, I believe Gary has the proposed motion to either approve or deny. And then Megan, as the secretary, I would suggest whatever way that goes, I would suggest that you make clear your thoughts and any suggestions you might have for consideration.
What I can do is I'll do the motion. Yay or nay. And then after that's done,
With the recommendation.
with the recommendation, any comment, Jerome can then make the comments in his thoughts that what he thinks, and then that can be put into the notes, and that'll be passed on to the trustees, so they'll see that.
Right, I'll make sure that that's incorporated in their trustee packets prior to the meeting on the 23rd of the month.
but at that point, I have no ability to, I mean, it's just a recommendation.
Yeah.
Right, and that's the role of the commission, is to provide a recommendation. The Board of Trustees makes the final determination.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, sorry, guys, I'm new. I'm just trying to
You're
get up to
fine.
speed.
Jerome,
Sorry.
all good questions. So you
I'm really struggling.
really have on your recommendations as well as suggestions you may have.
Yeah, so, Joe, I understand exactly where we want to go with this. I'm just really struggling with the lot area and coverage because it really pushes it really close to R1.
And I understand that, Jerome, and I can tell you that this was, a lot of consideration was given as to what direction to go here. Again, what we're trying to do is protect all of the neighbors and all of the residents of the township moving forward. We have a code that's extremely old. It was adopted through the Franklin County a long time ago. And we're in the process of rewriting several different sections, et cetera. And we feel this is a very appropriate move, just like with the country club and what they had. They could put airports in there, they could put a circus in there, they could put a roller coaster in there, et cetera. What we want to do is we want to go to the planned development, and that's what we're trying to push to, because that allows the maximum flexibility for the developer and the maximum flexibility for the trustees, et cetera, moving forward to approve good development, period, that protects what the township currently has going forward.
So now in R4, Joe, because I'm an R4 developer, I got two options. I can either do, one lot of 40,000 square feet, or I've got to go follow the planned development. That's that's it, right?
That's correct. Or you could request an R2 zoning and go from there.
Okay.
And Joe, am I correct that variances are always an option?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
the BZA, so.
And Joe, just correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is the way that a lot of townships that are surrounding major metropolitans and suburbs that are connected. This is kind of the way a lot of these counties and townships work for the county. I keep saying county. A lot of the townships are going this way.
Quite a bit. I'm not going to say all or a lot. It's not only townships, it's cities. Many jurisdictions are going this way with the PD and the cloud overlay. This is the way that people could come in, and it really gives a lot of flexibility. In reality, this could get a developer an opportunity to build on 6,000 square feet. If the development works for where he's going and doesn't jeopardize the value or the traffic or the impact on adjacent neighbors, he could get greater density by going the path of the PD. And what this is allows us to take a look at the big picture, the entire picture, not just a snapshot.
Like the Brookside one.
Absolutely.
What did the Brookside?
The Brookside, there was an area where they took a section that was undeveloped and they're developing and putting patio homes in, right, Joe? They're patio homes. They decided due to the subdivision regulations that they couldn't meet through the city of Columbus, but what they did was went to a condominium. So they've got 21 to 23 beautiful planned homes going in there. And as you may or may not recall, we had absolutely nobody show up from any of the adjacent neighborhoods or anything else because they all saw what was going on and it was completely vetted. We know exactly what's going on with it, how it's going to go in, what it's going to look like, what the road network, lot coverage, et cetera. So it's a perfect example of how this PD text works. And it really does work and it really does control growth. And it makes sure that we've got a say in what everything that comes out looks like. All right. I am going to move to recommend approval of the text amendment proposed to the Perry Township zoning resolution and zoning amendment case number 156-RZ-22, which amendment consists of the textual revisions proposed to be made to the Perry Township resolution as reflected in the zoning amendment text entitled Perry Township Zoning Amendment number 156-RZ-22. dated January 19th, 2022. Need a second?
We'll second that.
Seconded by Lucy. Roll call vote, right?
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Ms. Playhay,
Yes,
Mr. Scott.
I'm just not comfortable with the lot area and coverage. I feel like it should be more consistent to what's in Worthington Hill, so I think I'm gonna vote no.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So with my comment then about the not being comfortable with the lot area and coverage, you know, that could carry forward to the trustees and they could look at that as this moves forward then?
It will be, yes,
Perfect.
make sure.
We'll make sure that, Jerome, that all your concerns are voiced to all the trustees.
I appreciate that. I agree with where you want to go, Joe. Everywhere I work in the world, it's planned urban development now. I just little uncomfortable with that 1 acre lot.
I understand.
What I'm concerned with.
Jerome, I would ask that you just send me an email bullet pointing your concerns so that I'm making sure that I relay the information appropriately.
Yep, I can do that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Jerome. All righty. With no other stuff on the agenda, I move to adjourn.
I said
Second, all
I was
all those in favor say aye.
it.
Aye, we are done. Thank
Thank
you.
you all very much.
Thank
So
you.
very quick.